Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. So today we're going to be exploring the 4 inner planets of our solar system. They are Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars. The easiest way to remember which is considered an inner planet is that the inner planets are all rocky. They have rocky surfaces on them. So out of the 8 main planets in our solar system, the inner planets are rocky and the outer planets are the gas giants.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Today, we're going to find out about the planet in our solar system that's closest to the sun. Yeah, we're going to learn about the planet Mercury. So, this is Mercury. And did you know it takes 59 Earth days to make one rotation? That's a really long time. But did you know that because Mercury is so close to the sun, 1 year is only 88 Earth days? Now, did you know that that would mean if you lived on Mercury, you'd have a birthday roughly every 3 months? Crazy! So, Mercury sits closest to the sun out of all of the planets in our solar system, and it might be the smallest planet in our solar system, but it's incredibly fast. Because of its distance to the sun, it moves very, very quickly. So quick, in fact, it moves at a whopping 29 miles per second. That is extremely fast. And did you know that if you were stood on Mercury, the sun in the sky would appear 3 times larger than it does on planet Earth? That's just how close it is to the sun. And did you also know that because Mercury only sits 2 degrees off of its axis, unlike Earth, which is much more tilted, it doesn't have seasons. So the weather is the same on Mercury all year round. Now that leads me to my next point. Mercury gets extremely, extremely hot in the day, but on the night side of the planet, or areas that are in shadow, it can get extremely, extremely cold, far colder than anywhere else on planet Earth. Isn't that strange considering how close to the sun it is? It just goes to show the wonder of the solar system. Now, you may think that because Mercury is the closest planet to our sun, that it is the hottest planet, but that isn't the case. It's actually its next door neighbour, the planet Venus. And it's also our next door neighbour too. Venus sits in between Mercury and planet Earth. Now, Venus is hotter because it has a thick atmosphere, much like we do here on planet Earth. But Venus has trapped far more heat from the sun than our planet, meaning it gets extremely hot on the surface of Venus. So hot, in fact, it's hot enough to melt lead. Yeah, and that is a very crazy fact indeed. Now, it might seem quite far away, the planet Mercury, and you'd be right. It would take about 5 minutes at the speed of light to get to Mercury, and the speed of light is very, very fast indeed. Just shine a torch somewhere in your room and you'll see how fast light travels. It's in the blink of an eye, so quick that we can't even perceive how fast it is, and it would still take 5 minutes travelling at that speed to get to Mercury. So it's very, very far away. Despite how far away it is, NASA has sent 2 spacecraft to study the planet Mercury. They have flown past it and they've even orbited around it. Yeah, how crazy is that? Now, one fun fact that not many people know is that there is a crater on Mercury named after quite a famous author. That author wrote the book The Cat in the Hat, Dr. Seuss. This crater was named after him. Yeah, so there is a crater on the planet Mercury called Seuss Crater. Wow! Thanks for joining me and looking at Mercury with me today. It's such an interesting planet.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi space enthusiasts, today we're going to embark on an exciting journey to explore the mysteries of Venus, the second planet from our Sun. Did you know that Venus is quite similar in size to planet Earth? But the reality is they couldn't be more different once you take a closer look. Now Venus is covered in a dense, thick atmosphere made of sulfuric acid. Now this gives Venus its yellow-like appearance. Now could you imagine walking along Venus and seeing nothing but yellow, hazy clouds? On Venus, you'll find valleys, mountains, and volcanoes. And Venus is geologically active, so often these volcanoes will erupt with hot lava. Now, Venus has a really thick, dense atmosphere made up of mostly carbon dioxide. Now, that would be like breathing in a fizzy drink, but not a very tasty one. That's why we have to be really thankful for the lovely breathable air that we have here on planet Earth. Now, if you want to know a really crazy fact about Venus, it's that on Venus, a day is longer than a year. Now, let me explain how this works. Venus takes around 225 days to do one full orbit around our Sun. However, because Venus rotates so slowly, it actually takes 243 days to complete one rotation on its axis. So that means a day is longer than a Venus year. That's crazy! Other than having a non-breathable atmosphere and sulfuric acid rain and dense clouds surrounding the entire planet, one of the other things that might put you off of going on holiday to Venus is its extreme temperature. It can get close to 500 degrees Celsius or 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hotter than the hottest setting on your oven. That really is super, super hot. Back in the 1970s, Russia sent spacecraft to Venus to try and land on its surface and take photos of the surface of Venus. Now, after a few attempts, multiple failures of certain spacecraft, they actually managed to land on the surface. This happened in 1975 with the Venera 9 and the Venera 10 spacecraft. Now these spacecraft didn't last very long at all, but here are some fantastic pictures of Venus's surface. How crazy is that? Now after a very short time, around 45 minutes to an hour on average, the spacecraft succumbed to the extreme atmosphere, pressure and temperature of Venus's surface. So if you think that a spacecraft struggles to survive on Venus, it makes you wonder, is there possibly life? Scientists have largely dismissed notions of any possible life on Venus. However, it is theoretically possible. The only way that we think life could exist on Venus, beyond microscopic organisms that can survive extremes, is possibly in the cloud structures of Venus, because the temperature and the atmospheric pressure reduces the higher up you go into the atmosphere. So although not likely, it is theoretically possible for life to exist on Venus. And there is even the possibility and belief that Venus was once a lush planet, much like planet Earth's, but due to the runaway greenhouse effect, it's quickly heated up and become uninhabitable over millions of years. Due to the thick atmosphere of Venus, this runaway greenhouse effect that I refer to is essentially the sunlight being captured by the majority of the planet rather than being reflected away, and this is due to Venus's opaque, thick yellow atmosphere. So, was Venus once habitable and not too dissimilar to our own planet? Maybe. We don't really know in what form that would have looked like on Venus, but what we do know is that it is changed over millions of years to the planet that it is today, far different than our own planet is right now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi my fellow space explorers! So today we are going on an exciting journey to discover the very planet that we call home. That's right, we're going to look at planet Earth. From sprawling mountains to deep, vast oceans. Let's take a look at this truly incredible planet. So, planet Earth is often referred to as the blue planet, and the reason it's called this is because around 70% of the planet's surface is covered in ocean. That's a huge amount of water. Now, this wonderful floating blue marble in space consists of forests, deserts, ice caps, oceans, canyons. It truly is a remarkable and varied place. It really is one of a kind, and one of the reasons for that is, as far as we know it, it is the only planet that we know of that can sustain life. The largest ocean on planet Earth is the Pacific Ocean. Now, just to give you an idea of how gigantic this is, it covers a wider surface area than all of the other land masses on Earth combined. And from the depths of the ocean to the height of the sky, we have a natural satellite that we know as our moon. Now, this moon is around about 1/6 of the size of our planet. And back in 1969, we sent men on a rocket to the moon for the very first time. Now, a fun fact about the moon is that the moon is so big and so close to planet Earth that when you notice the tides go in and out on the sea, that is the effect of gravity from the moon. So the moon's gravity impacts our planet and is what creates our tides. Another fun feature of our amazing planet is the weather. We have all kinds of weather, from sunny days, rainy days, snowy days, to very windy days. Now, this is an effect from our atmosphere. It's like a big warm blanket that wraps itself around our planet and protects us from space rocks and debris. Any small bits of rubble, debris, meteorites, when they hit our atmosphere at such high speeds, they heat up and dissolve before they can hit the ground. Some of these do still hit the ground, and we can see meteorites up close. Maybe see if there's a museum near you where you can see a space rock in real life. Speaking of heat, the hottest temperature ever recorded on planet Earth was at Furnace Creek in California, which is in the United States of America. And this temperature was around 57 degrees Celsius. That is really hot and not weather that you would want to walk around in. Now, although our planet can get very hot in places and also very cold in places, due to these changes in temperature, it really does mean we have such a wide variety of wildlife and creatures that live on our planet with us. Here are just some of the amazing creatures that we share our planet with and that they call their home. So our planet really is like a giant round jigsaw puzzle, and each puzzle piece contains a different habitat for many of these plants and creatures to flourish. One of these puzzle pieces is the Amazon rainforest. Now, as we know, plants and trees, they create oxygen that help us to breathe. Now, the Amazon rainforest makes over 20% of the entire world's oxygen supply. That's truly, truly incredible. And then on the other side of the coin, you have the Sahara Desert, which is the largest desert in the world. It's so big, if you were standing in the middle of it, you would see nothing around you but sand dunes for miles and miles. And let's not forget that you and I are part of this planet as well. And us, along with all the creatures and plants that we share it with, we need the Earth's water, air and soil to survive. So it's very, very important that we look after this magical planet that we call home. Recycling our plastics is one of the things that we can do to help make our planet more sustainable. That way, these bottles and containers that we recycle can be turned into even more things, like toys, more containers, or various different things that we use every day. And we're all human, but we're all very, very different in our own ways. Depending on where you are in the world, you may speak a particular language or have different traditions, or we may not even look alike sometimes. And that is truly wonderful because that makes us all unique and special in our own ways. And we should celebrate our differences and learn from each other and really make our world a great and fascinating place to live. As far as we know, we are the only planet that can sustain life. We haven't yet found any other planet with the variety and the sheer scale of the things that we have on our planet. So it's really important that we look after it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, it's JJ. Welcome to today's video. Now we're going to be visiting the planet Mars. Now, if you haven't checked out our channel before, or this is your first time here, do check out our other videos. We've done Mercury, Venus and Earth so far, and we're working our way out of the solar system. Now this is the last rocky planet of the 8 main planets in our solar system. So it's a really good chance to delve in and take a detailed look at this wonderful planet. Now, with a diameter of around 4,200 miles, it's certainly not a small planet, but large compared to the rest of the planets in the solar system, it is not. It is also much smaller than our own planet Earth. But if you think that just because it's small, it's light, certainly isn't. It comes in at a staggering 642 sextillion kilograms. Now, I don't know about you, but that number is so huge, I can't even put that into perspective and think about how much that would be to try and carry around. It's very, very heavy indeed. That's because it is made up vastly of rock. And another name for a planet made up mostly of rock is known as a terrestrial planet. It sits around 142 million miles away from our sun. Now we, here on planet Earth, we sit around 93 million miles away. So it's around 50 million miles or so on average further away from the sun than we are. That is quite a distance, and because of that, the temperatures on Mars are far lower because it doesn't get as much sunlight as we do. The average temperature varies between -5 and around -80 degrees Celsius. That is super cold, colder than the coldest places on Earth. It does spin around the same rate as planet Earth. Therefore, a day is just over 24 hours on Mars, whereas ours is, of course, 24 hours exactly. However, it takes far longer to go around the sun. In fact, almost twice as long, meaning you would have to wait 2 years to have one birthday on planet Mars. Doesn't sound so great, does it? Let's take a look and see Earth and Mars side by side, and let's look at some of the key differences between these two fascinating planets. So, first off, looking at these two planets, Mars is only around 70% as dense as planet Earth. What that essentially means is, for every square of Mars, and every square of Earth, Earth is denser, which means it has more crammed in to a smaller space than Mars does. So although it's not far behind planet Earth, it is less dense and only about 70% as dense as planet Earth. So although Mars has the same rough land coverage as planet Earth, it's actually far smaller in terms of its overall volume. Now what that means is you could essentially fit 6 Marses worth of volume inside the total volume of planet Earth. If you imagine planet Earth like a giant sphere filled with water, it would take 6 small spheres of Mars crammed inside the jar of planet Earth. The reason why they have similar land coverage, despite Mars being quite a bit smaller, is because Mars doesn't have any surface oceans. It has ice caps at the North and South poles, but we don't count those as they are still technically solid land. So Mars has land all over its surface, whereas planet Earth, of course, 70% is covered in ocean. So the land that is there, if we took it all and added it all up, it would be around about the same as the total surface land of Mars. As we know, planet Earth has thousands and thousands of life forms, from plants to animals to people. Its atmosphere, its environments can support a vast amount of different forms of life. Mars, on the other hand, doesn't have liquid water as we know it. It does have frozen ice caps, like I said earlier, at the North and the South poles, much the same as we do. What we do know about Mars, however, from sending rovers, satellites, taking pictures of the surface and studying its makeup, we found that we do believe Mars had water on it at some point in its long distant history. This is because we have found evidence of ancient riverbeds, deltas, perhaps even vast oceans that were perhaps once present on the surface. When? We don't know. That's what scientists are still trying to find out to this day. So now, let's take a look at this unique planet in a little more detail, and let's explore some of the unique features that make this planet so very special. So, as I mentioned, Mars has polar ice caps at the North and the South poles. Now this is made up mostly of water and carbon dioxide. It's known as dry ice, and much like Earth's ice caps, it changes size with the seasons. Now, if you thought Mount Everest was big on planet Earth, you haven't seen anything yet. No, Olympus Mons on Mars is the largest volcano on Mars. Now, it reaches a staggering 13.6 miles in height. That is over 3 times the height of Mount Everest. Now, considering the size of Mars, that is absolutely enormous, and it's so large, in fact, that it can be seen from space. Now, another crazy feature on Mars's surface is Valles Marineris, quite literally translate to Marina Valley. Now, this is the largest canyon on Mars. It's 2,500 miles long. That's over 10 times longer than the Grand Canyon here on planet Earth. How big do things on Mars get? Not just comparing it to planet Earth, this canyon is huge with respect to the entire solar system, at around 7 miles deep in places and several miles wide. It is in fact one of the largest known canyons in the entire solar system. What an impressive feat for a relatively small planet in the grand scheme of things. Now, another similarity between Earth and Mars is that both planets technically have weather. Mars, however, is slightly different when we compare it to the weather on planet Earth. Planet Earth can have dust storms. In particularly dry areas of the world, they're quite a common occurrence, but nothing like the scale that we see on Mars. These dust storms on Mars can encircle the entire planet and can last for weeks or even months. How crazy is that? These storms are caused by Mars's very thin atmosphere, and that can have quite an impact on the overall climate of the planet. Next is the exciting part and my personal favourite part. We're going to jump into the section where we look at some of the exciting ways that we have explored planet Mars so far. And let's also take a look at the things we might be doing in the future. Now, in recent years, we have sent satellites, probes, rovers, different robots. We've even sent a helicopter to Mars to explore and discover its secrets. Now, what these rovers, and in particular the land-based rovers like Perseverance, Curiosity, they have been digging and taking samples from the planet's surface to try and determine if Mars had previous life. They're looking at riverbeds, they're looking at the mountains, the canyons, and everywhere in between to try and understand how this planet is the way it is today. Now, I'm going to stop talking for this next bit because what you are about to hear was recorded by the Perseverance Mars rover in February 2021, shortly after it landed on the surface of Mars. And this is the first official time that we have heard what Mars sounds like. Do pay attention. I'm going to stop talking now. Here is the clip. How incredible, with the technology that we have today, that we can hear sounds on the other side of the solar system on different planets. I don't know about you, but I find that absolutely amazing. Now, landing people on Mars is no easy thing to do. Mars is so far away, any spaceship we have today would take months upon months to get there. Then, of course, we can't just step off the spaceship and breathe the air on Mars. No, because it's not suitable for us. We would have to build special habitats if we wanted to explore Mars. Now that takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of money, and it takes years and years of scientific research in order to make it possible. But what an exciting opportunity in the decades and the years to come that we may be able to see people take their first steps on Mars for the very first time. What a great time to be alive. What an incredible journey across those 4 fascinating planets. I hope you learned something and enjoyed today's video, and if you did, do like and subscribe to the channel because later on we're going to be releasing our videos of the gas giants. Take care everyone and stay curious. I'll see you again soon.